everybody, and welcome again to another episode of the Risk Matrix with myself, Dr. Martin, and he calls himself my sidekick, but he's really not, my co-host, James Junkin. Hey, James.
Hey, roll tide. It's good to be here, and I'm super excited about our guest today. I really am. We could talk forever with this guy, but unfortunately,
let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. We got Dr. Josh Becker on here, who is a veteran of our country, recently retired, probably within the last year. And he has his own consulting firm with several of the people that he served with. And specifically, they have a practice that uses drones for a bunch of different tasks to mitigate risk, to map things, etc. I think he's super interesting. But before we get to Dr. Becker, welcome, Dr. Becker, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Dr. Martin. Hey, Mr.
So before we get to you, let me just do a read, because we are sponsored by people. We're powered by VeriForce, but we are sponsored by a hub partner called Xero, Xero, Xero. As a business owner, accounting software can have you confused and down. Enter Xero. Xero software ends the late nights and accounting confusion by providing real-time access to financial data, automating risks, tasks like invoicing, bank reconciliation, and payroll, and integrating with third-party apps. Its comprehensive reporting tools aid decision-making, and its robust security measures ensures data protection, streamlining accounting processes and supporting growth. VeriForce Network members can try Xero for 6 months with 75% off their normal fees. To learn more about this exclusive offer and to simplify your accounting processes, visit veriforcenetwork.com/offers/Xero, which is spelled Xero. So check them out. So here we are with Dr. Becker. James, meet Dr. Becker. He's a good pal of mine.
I sometimes feel like a zero because I'm just a doctor wannabe. I'm in the dissertation stage of my doctorate, and man, I applaud you both for the work that you put in to do it, because some days I'm like, do I really want to be a doctor? But my sister-in-law is a doctor, so I can't fail. We can't let her be the only doctor in the family. Roll Tide.
That's right. That's right. So, Josh, tell us a little bit about your business. I know that you do a bunch of different things in your business, and drones is just one of them. So tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do now that you're retired.
Sure. Yeah. Yes. So spent a good part of 25 years in the military, primarily the aviation sector. So retired from active duty last year. So own a business called URS Safety, based out of Wheeling, West Virginia, about 45 minutes south of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, with a couple of partners of mine. We're a full service consulting company, safety and health consulting company. So I have clients in all aspects, all businesses, construction. It's a big oil and gas country here. We're right on the Marcellus Shale Basin. But we also are drone pilots. So we have a couple different drones that we've been utilizing in many different areas to kind of reduce risk, but really by utilizing a drone, we're reducing the human element. So we don't have to put somebody at height to do an inspection. I can do inspections in real time, so we're not shutting down production. And clients like that because, as we all know, time is money. So, and anytime we can reduce, putting somebody at risk or at exposure, that's always an added benefit as well. So, kind of the gist of what we do.
So just to put it into perspective, your MOS was.
Yeah, MOS in the military is 15 Tango. So I'm a helicopter mechanic by trade, and then both of my partners were helicopter pilots by trade throughout a career. But between the three of us, we have about 75 years of experience in the aviation world.
Aviation, right?
What most people don't understand, they're listening to us. A helicopter cannot fly. It just beats the wind into submission.
That's correct. That's correct.
That's it. So what makes you decide to get into occupational safety and health? Because I know that's where your doctorate is.
Yeah. So in aviation in general, I mean, safety is paramount. So everybody, when we talk about aviation maintenance, and that's our backgrounds in the aviation maintenance sector. But yeah, anytime that we, have to fix a helicopter or make a change, or even if we talk about commercial airlines, safety is paramount. So that's kind of how we segued in. I've kind of, a secondary duty as the unit safety officer. So I kind of transitioned there and kind of went down that path. Then finished up, bachelor's, which led into a master's degree for promotion wise. And then Dr. Martin here was, lucky enough, I guess, to chair my dissertation. So
Is
we'll
she as
blame her
mean
for
to
that
you?
one.
Was
So.
she as mean to you as she is to me? Is my
Oh,
dissertation?
she'll keep you honest, James. She'll keep you honest.
That's why I feel like a zero some days. She says
It's all
there's a
about
light at the
it's
end of
all
the tunnel.
about forward movement, fellas. All about
Yeah,
forward movement.
for
So
sure.
so Josh, these are not your Best Buy drones, right? Because you and I have talked about your drones before. I've actually seen some pictures of these things. What First of all, tell us a little bit about what the capabilities are for the drones that you fly, and some of the projects you mentioned, a little bit about risk doing inspections, but some of the projects that you've done for companies, especially in the oil fields.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, it's not your commercial off the shelf drone that you're gonna buy at Best Buy or Walmart and launch in your backyard and chase your dog around or cat around with. No, we own a smaller model, and then also a larger model commercial drone. And these things, we use a smaller model for any kind of light work or if we need to get into tight spaces. But then we also have a larger Matrix 300, which we're actually flying today on location to do a bigger project. Primarily, what we've been doing locally, like I said, big oil and gas fields around here. But we've been using that to conduct our drops inspections. So major client of ours, number one, actually, next to vehicle incidents, their number two most recordable injury or accident over the past 3 years has been dropped items from oil rigs. So the issue with that is for them to do that kind of inspection, they have to shut down a rig, put somebody in a GLG, put somebody in a ladder, put somebody at heights to do all these things. And in their business, that's anywhere between $2,000 to $10,000 an hour every time they shut that down. So, for instance, today we're on location flying, doing a drops inspection for a client of ours while production's going on. We're not hindering anything, we're not in the way, and they don't shut down production. A couple of added benefits to that is you're seeing operations in real time, so they can identify a lot of pieces that are moving that they wouldn't have seen otherwise. We've taken the human element out of it. We don't have to put anybody at height or anything. We can conduct an inspection that would take them anywhere, if they're doing it, if they're putting a rig up, it might take 4 or 5 hours to do that, that we can do in an hour or two. And we can capture a lot more data than what a person is with a camera and some binoculars. So that's just one aspect. We do a lot of mapping. We do a lot of like geographical mapping, topographical mapping, where I can go out and survey an area and take, depending on how big the area is, we take, 3 to 3,000 pictures, and then we stitch it all together with the software we have, and then we give you a map that can be used as 3D maps, can be used as like cut fill maps. I can give you plant health, show you what kind of plant health. Some of my customers or clients are with the electrical distribution, so they kind of want to know like, hey, what's the right of way? Where do we need to cut trees down to prevent power outages in the future? And the same thing in that regard is, we can get in there and look at power lines, power poles without putting a person there, and do it in half the time. So.
Well, I'm really interested in that aspect of your business. I'm from the oil and gas industry, but in our consulting company, we work with telecommunications firms, whether they're the carrier, if you will, or the contractor that's performing work for the carrier, on the cell phone towers, etc. So I find it very interesting in telecommunications. Do you do any applications there where you're out working with telecom?
Not so much in telecommunications. We're more in the power distribution, specifically in like right of ways. So where, especially as you know, you get outside of your, your city and you're out in the middle of the woods where power lines might traverse over we're in Appalachia here, over mountains and ridges. And what we do is we can go out there and we don't have to put a person out there on the ground walking or looking. We've identified a lot of things for power companies, specifically on like power poles. You go out there and do an inspection on a power pole that might be really old, and you notice, oh wow, that's cracked, that needs replaced. We do some storm work as well. So after a storm, we can go out there and identify, hey, these are the spots that need cleared. But really, what we like to do is get ahead of that. So go out for a power company or distribution, transmission lines, either one, and identify the right of ways of like, hey, this is where your growth is going to overgrow the power lines. So we can map that out for you, and then we can also work and come up with a plan of when that needs cut, and get you on a schedule of how often you need to keep those right of ways cut, so that when you do have a storm, you're not running into an outage. And if James doesn't have his air conditioning, he's not happy. So
Yeah, you can bet that's a fact. In Louisiana, we lose
You
power
can bet
all
he's
the
going to be
time.
calling and bitching at somebody if he
Hey.
doesn't have his air conditioning.
Fat people sizzle like bacon in the heat, and I don't want to sizzle, right? I don't want to sizzle. But in storm prone areas like we are in the Gulf Coast, I live down in New Orleans, and if there's not a hurricane every year, it's every other year, and sometimes it's very major. And I see a lot of linemen out doing surveys, damage surveys, and et cetera. It seems like your technology fits really well in prevention of power outages by understanding, hey, we need to go cut in these particular areas rather than sending someone out to do surveys, which you've got expense associated with personnel doing that, hazards associated with doing that. It's really cool that you're able to leverage that technology. And I'm assuming it's a tremendous cost saving to power companies.
So I'm curious what's the range, Josh? Because some of these places you're talking about are remote, right? And you're stitching together a plan. What could somebody expect for you? You set up somewhere in a parking lot or wherever you fly from. How far can you fly to and around? I'm just curious.
Sure. And it's the license that we have is all based upon line of sight. So you still have to be able to see the drone. There are special licenses out there where you can fly in applications like James was talking a little bit ago, in like military applications where you can fly non-line of sight. But as long as you can see it, then you can fly it. Now, there's a couple of different ways to mitigate that or to get around that. You could, if say you want to get above the trees, you get in the JLG and go up 50 feet. We flew last week off the top of a parking garage. So then you increase your line of sight versus when you're on the ground. So usually about a mile or so. So you can go out and fly. In the software we have, more or less, I know it's almost like, a lot of people don't know this, but it's almost like a commercial airliner. You just take it off and you press the button and then it'll go fly the route for you. It takes, depending on what kind of scale, what kind of graphics we want to capture, that let's say 10-acre, 20-acre area, we may come back with 1,000 to 3,000 pictures that are all stitched together to give you a map that you can pinpoint. For instance, to give an example, pinpoint a missing cotter pin on a fall protection point.
Wow.
A couple weeks
That's
ago.
pretty cool.
That
was an instance. It was a retractable that they had mounted, and that mounting point was always there. Somebody said it was okay the week before, and the week came out and it was missing. So shut down operations because they're using it on a daily basis. But back to, it's line of sight. So and again, we can take a picture of this area, and then hey, if we need to move and do another 10 acres over here, and then we drop all these pictures in our software. We'll piece all those together and make us a map.
So you said something about certification, and I wondered about that because I had a client the other day through one of these third-party verification systems. A question popped up for this client about, do you operate drones? And they checked, sure. and then it popped up and said, enter your FAA certification. And I said, go back and uncheck that because you don't have that, right? So I was completely unaware that you need some type of certification. So can you speak to the type of certifications there are, and are they required by the FAA?
Yeah, sure, for sure. Yeah, no, the little drones you're going to go to Walmart and buy and fly in your backyard, that doesn't need a certification, doesn't need a license because of the product. But yeah, if you want to be a commercial drone pilot, it's Part 107 by the FAA. A lot of people don't understand, especially when they try to get into the industry, that you need to learn all the basics of piloting and navigation that you would, let's say, if you're going to get your private pilot's license. I have a good friend that's a photographer that's going through the process, and he's very frustrated because he's like, I didn't want to be a pilot. I just want to go take pictures. Like, well, that's kind of what the license requires you. The larger drone we have in essence operates as an airplane. It has a transponder. It knows where it's at. It will not let you take off in certain places. It has you know, terrain awareness. If you're going to fly into something, it'll alert. A little airplane will pop up if it's within a radius. So it has all the same features as what you'd see in a commercial airplane. But yeah, you do have to abide by the rules that are, you know, laid forth in that FAA certification and that policy, and still general piloting and general aviation rules apply as well. So that's where you, yeah, like your client could have got into some trouble if they didn't unclick that, and then went out and flew into something, and then next thing you know, the FAA is calling. So, but
Didn't you're an episode of one of those aircraft disaster videos that I like to watch on the Smithsonian
You like to
channel?
watch.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly,
yeah, I
exactly.
do love those.
Nerd alert. So if I were to go to hire a drone or a service that does drone work, what should I be looking for? Obviously the certification, right? But what should I be looking for in capabilities of, let's say I want somebody to do a drop service, or yeah, what came to my mind as you were talking about the missing pin was I used to work in the crane industry, right? And cranes need inspections.
Yeah.
What am I looking for resolution? What am I looking for capabilities if I were to hire a drone?
Sure. I mean, obviously, James hit the first question is, are they qualified? You know, do they have the proper license? Do they have the proper insurance? You know, are they familiar with your operation? I think we serve as a sort of a niche little community because we are safety professionals that have a drone. So we kind of know what we're looking for and what to identify uh, in terms of risk and hazards. So if you can find somebody like that, great. But and if you're just hiring an operator to come out, just kind of convey the needs that you're looking for. So if you have a checklist or something like, hey, we'd like you to check out these 10 things, that's great. Make sure that they have a you know, the platform that's going to be able to do whatever you're asking. Or for instance, let's say you wanted a survey of a particular area. Make sure that they have the drone and the software that can process that and give you the end product that you're looking for. So
Well, the only time I've used a drone in a commercial application, I didn't pilot it. You would not want me to pilot it, right? But we had someone that did pilot it, and I don't know if they were certified or not. I didn't even know that was such a thing till about 2 months ago. But we used it in incident investigations, get good overhead shot of the site layout, where everything was, and it was extremely valuable to use that in that investigative tool. And that was actually one of the pieces of evidence that we used in the OSHA defense, because OSHA didn't have pictures from the top, and we were able to demonstrate distances. It was a power line situation, distances and approach distances, and how the incident actually transformed. And so I found that very valuable. Have you got to use drones in incident investigations?
not so much incident investigation, have not been called upon to do that, but all the features you just mentioned, we use all the time. We did a mapping project for the Wheeling Air Show here recently, mapping out just corridors on and where we're going to put people and where we're going to put equipment. And I can go on and measure and give you an exact dimension so that you can have an overlay and say, oh, I can park 400 cars here because we know exactly what the square footage is. I can tell you how much dirt's there. We've used that in oil and gas applications where we're going out to survey a site where we're going to put a new pad. So like, hey, we need to move whatever, 10,000 cubic yards of dirt, but they know that. They know exactly up front how much they're going to be able to move, so then they can plan from that. But yeah, the measuring tools are amazing, and we can get it down into less than a foot of accuracy. We're doing another project here for locally. We had a big rainstorm earlier this year. Had a big kind of like part of the mountain kind of fell away, landslide type deal into a cemetery that's 150 years old. So we're helping them like identify each one of the plots of these displaced grave sites to try to get them to back in their right place and rebuild that. But yeah, those are all capabilities that are well within our wheelhouse and that we're very familiar with. There's some new features coming out with the software we have. They also, I can use like a ground-based camera and give you a survey of like, what's going on the ground of your site. And part of that now, using like 360-degree cameras, we can pick up and use AI to pick up that James is not wearing his hard hat. James is not wearing his glasses. Those types of things. So
you got you, James. They got you, James.
You can use that. It's new emerging technology with the assistance of AI to be able to pick all those things up. And again, you get, like I tell clients, we're not there to be the safety cop, but you're getting a real-time view of what's going on
Of what's going on.
I think that's
great.
man, that's outstanding.
I want to hire you, Josh. I just need some sites to hire you on. So, I mean, how do they get a hold? Do you guys, first of all, do you guys travel from West Virginia, or are you just right now?
Yeah, we're totally open to travel right now. I have clients from West Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, Virginia. We're kind of in that area, but yeah, we're retired. We have Amex will travel.
I hear you. Platinum cards are great. You
Yes,
can go
sir.
on vacation if you can get a day off. I wanted to ask you about this. Ethical considerations when operating the drone. A lot of people, particularly in my neighborhood, got really upset when one of our neighbors got a drone and started flying over our house. And I've got swimming pool and privacy fence, and next thing you know, I've got this bzzz flying over. Now, I didn't make a huge big deal about it, but some of my neighbors did. Are there ethical concerns that you have to worry about when operating drones?
Sure, definitely. And anything that we video or take a photo of is all proprietary to the client. Unless they let us release that and use that, that's their data. But yeah, obviously you wouldn't want to do that. If you're, where you're going to expose something that shouldn't be exposed, you definitely want to, consider those ethical things. Another thing that we see with clients, specifically in oil and gas, there's multi-employer work sites. So, the owner of the well pad itself might have contracted us to come on, but some of the other subcontractors are like, hey, I don't want you taking pictures of our people. But it's just conveying like, hey, we're not there to be the safety cop. We're not there to look for every little thing. We're just giving you a snapshot of what's going on in real time. And whatever you use the data for, that's fine. That's up to you. So I know I talked to locally, the local OSHA rep a couple of weeks ago at a conference talking about using drones that they're using, and they really run into what you're speaking of, the ethical considerations that they can't incorporate some data, so it's hard for them to use that without especially like an instant investigation type thing. So
do tell. You just said that OSHA is operating drones.
They are. The issue that the gentleman I spoke with a few weeks ago said that they're what we'll call in like aviation, their launch authority is very detailed, and
Yeah.
they're very limited. He said they'd only have one for like the area. You kind of got to get in line. So again, so it's one of those situations where, hey, you can just call us and we'll come out and do it for you if you're the client. And just like
Yeah.
James, you might have that evidence now that OSHA doesn't, because they might have had to jump through more hoops than just picking up the phone and calling Josh, and we'll come out, take the pictures for you.
That's 100% what I was thinking, Josh, was,
Yeah.
if OSHA's going to have drones, then perhaps this service that you have is probably a great jump on getting your house in order, whether it be before an accident, after an accident, taking care of inspections, all that kind of stuff. Use the tools that might hurt you later on. So I mean, honestly, I can think of 100 things that I could do with the drone in my health and safety practice or for my clients. So
That's why I was
maybe
wondering about telecommunications. The tower's fixed, but sometimes those towers are 385 feet in the air. We have to send people aloft a long way in sometimes precarious fall protection situations to do inspections, when it would make sense to send a drone and then you get a 360 view. And then if you need to go do maintenance on it, then then you can expose
so
people to
be it.
hazards. But I'm amazed at how far technology has come, the incorporation you mentioned with AI. For me as an older safety professional, change is coming to how we deal with safety. And a lot of it is extremely positive. So I really like what you're doing and how you've incorporated that into your safety company. And it's just one facet of what you do. I'd love to be able to operate a drone in Louisiana commercially, but
Don't let them operate your drone, Josh. Don't.
We'll let him operate the camera. So
there
that's
we
kind
go.
of that's kind of a cool thing.
Hey.
That drone we have comes with 2 controllers. So normally the pilot will pilot the drone, and I can give the second controller to somebody that operates the camera. In 5 minutes, I can show you how to operate that. So if you were like, hey, I really want to look at this one thing, and I don't even need you to describe it. You just do the camera, press this button, take a picture, video, and we find that very helpful. Instead of having to give me a dissertation on what you're looking for, hey, just point the camera you want to go, you get the picture. Tell us where to move. We can position you right where you need to be. So
it reminds me of that scene from Top Gun, the original. I was inverted.
yeah,
I would love to be pilot the drone, be inverted, get a cool picture, and have to be able to say that in the deposition. Well, it's because I was inverted. Like
yeah,
I do that every day.
yeah. That's how I got it. That's how I got it.
I got it, man. I was inverted.
Oh, thank you, Josh, for coming on the show. I really think that there is a multitude of uses for what you guys do. And I'm sure you piqued the interest of a few of our listeners, if not more than that. Tell us again the name of your company and how they get a hold of you, even just to talk about the capabilities of what they could be doing with drones in their business for their safety, etc.
Sure. It's urssafety.com, urssafety.com. It's our website. You can look us up on LinkedIn. Same thing, URS Safety. Look me up, Josh Becker, on the LinkedIn. We'll be glad to talk drones or talk how we can implement into different areas, different practices, and give you some examples on what we've done for clients in the past and what we're looking to do, like I said, moving forward. So
We're excited for you, Josh. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm gonna hand it over to James, who's gonna tell our listeners how to get a hold of us.
Look, Dr. Becker, thank you. I've got all these things in my brain of how I could utilize a drone. So I'm gonna be calling you. And let's work together, man. Drones are awesome. But for all of you who are listening to us, thank you so much for being a listener of the Risk Matrix. Risk Matrix episodes drop every Tuesday around noon Central. You can find us on the VeriForce YouTube channel. Go over there, hit that like button, smash the subscribe button. That way you get alerts to when a new episode's out. We're also on Spotify. You can do the same thing. And we have an entire catalog of previous episodes that go back over a year with a lot of interesting guests and interesting topics that can help you improve your safety practice and bring workers home safe from high hazard jobs. So until
Thanks
next,
again, Dr. Becker. Until next time,
y'all keep bringing those workers home safe and get a drone.
get a drone.
Roll Tide.